Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Tub Takes. This is a VGC video podcast where we go over what's been making waves in the VGC scene. Today, I'm joined by my co-host Audie with Balloons. How you doing?
Hello, doing well. We picked the right day to record this podcast because we have some huge news to talk about that just came out a few hours ago as of recording, and we've got your North American champion this week, so it's a really big episode this time around.
Fede, how you doing?
Fine. Hi, guys.
Glad to have you on, especially to talk about this new season. Not only are you coming off of an NAIC win, but you're going to be able to represent Europe in the conversation later when we talk about the 2026 season changes. We're also going to be talking about the Victory Road tournament which both of you played in, and Chris, you ended up getting second, right?
I did, yes.
Awesome to hear. Well, we're going to be talking about that one as well. Also using a new team from you, I believe. So that's going to be cool to see.
Mhm.
But anyways, we'll be diving into all that. There's a lot to talk about this week, and of course, we have some really cool guests on. So if you guys have questions, please do put them in the chat. If you're here now and you're not going to be around later for the full episode, you can check it out on YouTube. Or if you'd rather just watch us at 2x speed or something, you can also just head over to CK49 on YouTube. And with that, I feel like I don't know if there's anything else to mention, so let's just go ahead and get right into it. So starting off, we're going to talk about the old news. I already made this joke off the call, but Fede, your NAIC win is already old news. But of course, I want to ask you a bit about your tournament experience, your run, the team, because I believe you said that you or Luca said that this team was basically around since day zero.
Yeah, kind of. Like, not exactly day zero. Like, day zero will be the first VictoryRoad tournament, the exact day I started. But
Right.
we have been using this six since before Milwaukee. So I would say almost day zero.
Mm-hmm. Okay, got you. Yeah, I won't lie. Whenever I see it, I always refer to it as the Raghav 6 because Raghav used something very close when I played against him at Milwaukee. And so, regardless, though, you've been sticking with this team. I think using it at all of the major tournaments leading up to this as well.
Yeah, I used this. I played this team in every local I played in Reg I. And I used the same comp in the last GC, but having Grimsdale over Whimsicott because with close team sheet, cover clock fake out Grimsdale is just so strong. So for close team sheet, that was better. But I stayed stick with the other five with the exact set. So
why would you say that this team was? Oh, did we cut out? Okay, maybe we cut out for a second there. I wanted to ask real quick. What do you think makes this team so strong? What do you think is like the reason that you've been sticking with this one for like the entirety of Reg I?
So first thing is Miraidon is my favorite restricted, and I've been playing Arubega for the past 2 months of Reg G. So starting with Reg I would have liked to keep playing something very similar. And that's the team that gave me the most Arubega vibes, I would say. And it just has an insane amount of options. You can play both Trick Room and Tailwind. Almost every mon besides Ursa Luna works fine with both speed control mods. The monsters are very bulky but very offensive at the same time. So I just like the teams that have a very high amount of options that just allow you to always have something to do in every very low or almost not any at all impossible matchup. And in general, just being able to switch up the mods between the games and just play in a way that always gives you multiple options in every scenario and just never be a bot or an NPC while playing or never do obvious things. And also, another thing that I like so much is that every time a matchup was looking bad, I could have forced 50-50s. And it was like, if I have a good matchup, I win. If I have a bad matchup, I force 50-50s. And there were a very low amount of matchups that were that bad that I couldn't have done none of this. So the team was feeling very strong. Then also, I would say I changed a bit my way to approach to the tournaments. In the recent period because before this season, but even at the start of the season, I used to be the kind of guy that always wants to have the most optimal call for every tournament. But this was becoming impossible to me because as I was speaking about this with Adi in after round 1 of NAC, I would like to always have the best team and the most optimal team, but I'm not a good team builder. Like I'm good at playing starter teams, but I'm not good at building teams on my own starting from zero. Like I'm also good at improving teams that already exist, but I'm not really good at building something if I don't have an already pretty solid starting point. So I understood that it was not possible to always have the right call if you're not good at team building. So I then started focusing on playing the team that I consider the most solid, the one and the one with the most options. That also would have fit my play style the best, and just try to play it in a great way. And that's also in my past 4 major events, including both Reg I and Reg G, I've always played Miraidon, Whimsicott, Urshifu, and then the other 3 were either this or the Harubega, Hogarpon, Iron Hands, Furigraph. And also in Reg H, I played Rain for 3 consecutive tournaments, and I played 4 out of 6 of my Gdansk winning 6 at the regional before, and then just played the Gdansk team at LAC as well. So this season I just started kept staying stick with the same teams more than I used before. That's it.
Yeah, seeing both you and Marco in the finals was just kind of like making me ask, like, why is anybody trying to cook like up good teams right now, or like different teams or anything like that, when a lot of the good teams have already been found and you could just be practicing those and getting good with them. And seeing the 2 of you make finals like really drove that point home. Basically just said, like, you know, if you are the best player of a certain archetype, you should just be focusing on getting as good with that team as possible. Actually, speaking of the finals match against Marco, how did you go about practicing for it? Did you have anybody to help, or were there too many like conflicts with all your friend groups, like in their, wanting both of you to win?
Okay, so we were rooming together, and Luca
Right.
was the third one, and Luca was just neutral in that. Like Luca helped me through the entire tournament, and in general helped me in the entire journey with the team.
Right.
We just picked up the team in the same exact moment, like 2 months ago. Into this final, he was neutral. Like he just didn't help anyone. He just was doing his stuff, but didn't prep at all for the final. And I actually didn't prep at all for the final in general, outside of just watching some replays of Marco playing the matchup that were before the tournament, and just watching the Marco against the Luca match from the day 1 streaming. Because I actually I think that matchup, like my NAC team matchup against this team, is the matchup I played the most ever in VGC in general. Like since I started playing, I never played a matchup more times than this one, because this team is really common in Italy. So I played this matchup at locals. I played this matchup in ladder. I played this matchup at the Italian special event. And in 2 months, I can't even say how many best of 3 sets I had against this, but 100% more than 100. So I was like, I have enough experience in the matchup. I don't need more games. I know every scenario perfectly, and that's also why you might see me locking moves in 3 seconds in the finals every time. And sometimes it was also just 50-50s, and I just wanted to go by the vibes, because you can't really pick a move that always makes sense. But in general, I was like, I was feeling like playing more games of practice will just have made me overthink, and might just start being scared about scenarios that I never considered before, just maybe because of the final anxiety. So that also was my first ever international final against the most experienced player of international finals ever. So I will say that playing around staying calm was very important. So I
Right.
knew that I had more experience than him in the matchup, and anyway, it would have been pretty much multiple 50-50s, because Marco is still very great. So he didn't need too much experience to understand every scenario that would have had a mind game. So I was like, I just have to. I was already thinking since the very first moment where Marco made finals. Tomorrow we have to win mind games. That's pretty much what I was thinking.
I was
Yeah,
curious how
and
much of the.
it
Go ahead,
did
Adi.
Yeah, it did look like it was a very read heavy matchup and a lot of like a lot of 50-50s in that matchup. Did you feel like you were, because you practiced against Marco a ton in the past, did you feel like you were playing the player at all?
You mean that
Like, was it
knowing Marco how to getting the turns?
basically what
Yeah,
Adi's trying to
like
say is because you played Marco so much, like, was it more like playing the matchup like you've played the matchup a bunch of times, or were there also times where you were like, I know Marco, I've played him 1,000 times, this is what he's going to do in this situation? I'm just kind of curious, yeah.
So yeah, that was the vibe around the mind games. I mean,
Right.
when you have a 50-50 and there is not the right play, if you're playing against someone who you don't know at all, you're most likely just going for the vibes. If you're playing against someone you know really well, you might be guessing right what they're doing. But it's still, like, many times it's just randomic. I will never say there is a precise threat to using 50-50s to get
No.
more right, but in that case, I think it worked well. But that's actually one of the very first times I played a matchup on a really 50-50 side. Because the thing is, I feel like this matchup is a matchup where if some player is way better than the opponent, there is not going to be any mind game. Like, every time I played this matchup against someone who was not as good as Marco, I just won without any 50-50. And
Mhm.
same thing for this team. Like, Marco and also all the other Italian players that helped him preparing with this team and have been practicing this team in group said like our record against your team was like 9-0 up until the NAIC final. So I feel like this matchup is a 50-50 only if both players are on the same level. If a player is way better than the opponent, they're just gonna win, because you need just to know the leads and the situations right to be able to create and understand every mind game. If you don't, someone is just gonna win.
Mm-hmm. And other than finals, what would you say was like the most like highlight match of your run?
So there have been, I will say the entire top cut has been crazy.
Right.
Because, like, against Marcus, I did my, like, turn one, game one against Marcus Dion. I did the worst play I did in the entire tournament. So and I risked to lose to him just because I will say, before getting the turns right that made me win game two, game one and the first turns of game two, that was definitely where I played the worst in the entire tournament. And then I just activate something in my mind that made me feel I cannot throw this. I need to win. And then it worked. But basically, turn one, game one against Marcos, I fake out his Insin with my Insin after his Insin intimidated first. So that
Oh
was
no.
like the worst play ever. The
No.
reason why, yeah, the reason why I did this was Luca played Chappa in day one, and he told me that my Insin was faster. Um, and I didn't even notice. Like, I completely didn't notice his intimidate going first. And we ended up seeing that we were in speed tie. So Luca basically won
Yeah.
every instant speed tie against Chappa. And then I lost the speed tie of the Intimidate against Marcus, and I should have noticed that. So that's not Luca's fault, of course. It's just my fault. But I just didn't see it, and I just was like, okay, I'm faster, so I can take immediate advantage by faking out Insane instead of faking out Miraidon. Because actually, even by being faster, faking out Miraidon was always safe. I just wanted to be more aggressive. I just started faking out Miraidon game 2 and game 3, and managed to win. But actually, I've been pretty unlucky because I lost every single speed tie on this set. So that was definitely crazy. And the other two stream sets for the top cut were very funny because, like, against both Kinugawa and Kobayashi, I would say the matchup was a bit on their favor. Kobayashi just had faster Miraidon, so that's something that is always annoying. And I just took insane risk into both of them turn one, game one. Like, against Kinugawa, turn one, game one was Insane Lunala against Kali's Mirgol. I trick room and knock off into Kali without terrestrializing anything, and he goes for Terra Ghost Spore into Lunala and Nasty Plot, and Insane just one hit KOs CSR and they win turn one. So that was crazy because against Kobayashi, then he went for Miraidon Lando lead. I went Insane Miraidon, and my turn one play was Electro Drift into his Miraidon. He went Electro Drift as well and protected Lando, and I also went U-turn into the Miraidon. So I just covered actually pretty much every option that Miraidon could have pressed and just didn't cover the Landorus protect. Like if he didn't protect the Landorus turn 1, I was losing game 1 turn 1. So that were the highlights, I will say. Just being brave enough to always gamble when it was needed, and didn't care about how high the stakes were and for what I was playing, and just going for what I thought it would have been the play that worked in that situation. So I think that's what you need to win tournaments. Like you don't have to be scared. You just have to press whatever you think is gonna work, even if it's their most risky play ever. If you feel it's gonna work, you have to press it. And if it's not gonna work, you're gonna have to learn from that mistakes in the future.
Yes, I like that advice a lot. You have to play like you want to win. Sometimes if you know what they're gonna do, you should act on it instead of just saying, "Do I have a safe play? Do I have a play that wins more?" I don't know, 100% of the time or something. Sometimes when you're playing against the best of the best players, you have to take risks. Playing safe all the time isn't gonna cut it.
Yeah, exactly.
But okay, so yeah, I mean, playing back-to-back Japanese players has got to be also really cool and really intense because they are some very strong players that you don't get to play very often outside of Worlds. So really cool. Otherwise, you actually have a very U.S. heavy schedule. I'm looking at here. You did not play against any of no Europeans in your schedule. Only a lot of NA.
Yeah, only Marco.
Yep. I guess until the finals, yeah. Oh, dude, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about how NA did at this tournament. Not with you here. Oh, it was so embarrassing.
You already talked about that.
It's okay. We needed the kick in the ass before Worlds. That's what we needed.
Yeah.
We're all gonna come out with vengeance.
Yes.
Hopefully.
Hey, we did all right in the VR tournament. So let's go ahead and move on to this one because I saw a couple.
I heard we did really well in the VR tournament before NAIC as well. So
yeah. So you both ended up playing in this VictoryRoad tournament over the past weekend. Some solid amount of prize money on the line because it had 300 players, and so $1,000 for first. That's a pretty good chunk of change, and it was won by Lingmo over here with I guess the standard. What did we say it was? Adi Zamurai. Zamurai was the name.
Yeah.
Future Proof was the name that ESM said. I don't know. Zamurai seems to still be sticking in my brain. It's a little more memorable. But yeah, otherwise, I don't know. We've seen this team before. It's a very strong one. I guess like one that I felt like was a bit of a sleeper pick going into NAIC, and then it really popped off there. Justin Tang did pretty well with it. And it's really sticking around. And Chris, you played against it in the finals. You made it all the way to the finals here with a bit of a different version of Shadow Rider Koraidon than we've seen before. Why don't you tell us a bit about it?
Yeah, for sure. I'm not gonna lie. I wasn't really expecting to make finals in VR. I was just kind of using it as like an excuse to play more Mons and kind of get some practice in. So I haven't used Shadow Rider in general. I'd say throughout the whole format, I've been using more like Miraidon teams, and then I guess a lot of Kyogre too. So I kind of want to just, I want to check it out and see if there's something that I was interested in. So I looked at there was some Japanese online tournament. I think it was like Teru Run, and I saw Lewis Tan did really well, and he had a pretty similar team. It's like Kali Shadow, Koraidon, Incident Moongus. And then his last two were Rillaboom and Chiyu, and I wasn't in love with those two mons, so I took them off. And then I'm looking at the team. You need a Miraidon answer, so my idea was Treads, which it actually wasn't that bad the whole tournament. And then my other concern was like Kyogre can get a little bit annoying. And I did end up playing a couple, and it was nice in those matchups. So Walking Wake helped there. So yeah, that's kind of how I built the team. I wouldn't say it was like super purposeful. I think like if I were to try the team again, I'd probably go like Encore Shadow Rider and maybe like ban Treads. But yeah.
All right. Well, I mean, it ended up doing a lot better than you originally expected. That's pretty sweet. And I don't know. I mean, these Victory Road tournaments are going to be probably the only way. I don't know. I don't want to like say the only way, but it's going to be the main way that the meta progresses between NAIC and Worlds, right? And so, with that said, do you think that this is a team that you think people are going to pick up, or do you think people are going to just like see it as a bit of a one-off finish?
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I even see it as just kind of a one-off finish. I think the tools are there, but I feel like a lot of the matchups I played was more. I actually played Fede, funnily enough, in the Victory Road tournament. I lost too. Trez is supposed to be like my Miraidon answer, but when we have like, Ursaluna, Whimsicott, Instant, it just kind of it can't really do its job as much as it needs to, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I think maybe the core is there, but I'm not sure about Trez's weight.
Got you. I
Well,
got
you
you.
did also beat the Fede team in top 4, right?
I did. They were Chiyu,
Or close to it.
which made it a little bit different. I think Instance maybe. Well, actually, they didn't bring the Chiyu in the matchup. Um, but I don't know. I think the Lunala was another piece that kind of was difficult for my team, right? Because after the
Mm-hmm.
after the Terra Fairy, even like if they just Wild Guard, I can't really hit it for a lot of damage, and it kind of like it starts Moongeisting, and like being annoying for my team.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. No, I mean that definitely makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess it's just really showing that these Shadow Rider Koraidon teams have a little bit more um, room to grow than maybe people originally gave
Mhm.
it credit for, myself included. I was definitely looking at it like, I don't know, these restricteds are too fast. I think the only way to do it is probably with Wheezing, but both this team that you're using here as well as the team that Agati ended up getting top 8 with, kind of showing that there are some other routes for using these two restricteds together, and maybe people just need to get a little more creative with it to really make them
I
shine.
think I think you can't go wrong with the two. They're two like really great Pokemon. So obviously, like Sash Calyrex was Loki the MVP the whole tournament.
Mm-hmm.
Just get like one plot up and you're killing the whole board.
Never thought about Leech Seed. Never thought about Leech Seed on your Calyrex.
I thought about Leech Seed Sash Cali, but I stuck in that spot.
All right, so Fede, you also played in this one, and I believe did you stream your run as well?
Yeah,
Nice, nice. And just ran it back with the team.
yeah,
One
same
thing I forgot to
exact.
go ahead. Sorry.
I was just saying same exact pace as NAC, and not any
Got it.
difference.
Right, right. One thing I forgot to ask you about earlier is at a certain point, were you not testing Ghost Miraidon?
Yeah, so I just mentioned that I stayed stick with the same 6, but I didn't mention how the team evolved because, like, the actual way how the team was born. Um, some days before Milwaukee, I was lettering with Luca, and we got paired into Riley, who was testing for Milwaukee his old Reg G Steam. So the classic, he was using always Insane, Whimsicott, Ursaluna, Urshifu, Miraidon, and Iron Crown in Reg G.
Yeah.
But he was using Expert Belt Terrapagos instead of Ursaluna. Um, and Lucas saw that, and he was like, "What the fuck is that? We are just gonna put some better restricted into that." So he just picked up the team and said, instead of using Terrapagos instead of Ursaluna, we are using Lunala instead of Iron Crown. So that was how the team was born.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I was testing Ghost Miraidon, because basically Riley was always using Terra Ghost Discharge Miraidon. And in the first weeks, I was just using that. Then for Utrecht, some of my coaches and also friends used Terra Electric because I was feeling like Terra Ghost wasn't that useful. Lucas stayed stick with Ghost for Utrecht. And then we just shift into Fairy for just right after Utrecht and kept using Fairy for Bologna and NAC. The main thing that made me change the Ghost one was that I was just feeling like in the early meta, it was working great. It worked. It looked as a similar in a similar way as the Reg G, early Reg G Miraidon to me. Like first weeks, Terra Ghost and Terra Electric were good enough. And then in the end, Terra Fairy Dazzling Gleam is just the most solid one. And after the metagame develops a bit, you just have to go for that because it's the one with the most options. And the Terra Ghost was a bit bad, I would say. Like I was great with Discharge. Discharge was feeling very great. I will say I was using it more than how much I'm using Dazzling Gleam at the moment. But Terra Ghost and Terra Electric were really bad, I would say. Especially Terra Ghost, like even in the GC where I won, I was expecting to. I'm not gonna lie, I was feeling like I was winning this GC before it. Because I was like, I have a broken team. I have Terra Ghost Moraidon, I have Fake Out Grim. I am using the 6 that just won a regional with completely different sets. But I would have expected the Terra Ghost Moraidon to have a completely different role in the GC. And I actually only pressed it like. It's funny because outside of the GC, I pressed it once against a 50-50 against Coridon between CC and Flare Blitz, and I went for Flare Blitz, so I lost. In the GC, I pressed it twice. First time I pressed it, I got Dire Claw Paralysis from Sneasler, and I lose. Second time I press it, I just win because I dodge a final Gambit from an Annihilate against an Artricron matchup. But yeah, that was pretty much what the Terragos did before. Like, pressed it once, pressed it 3 times out of 3 local tournaments and a whole GC, and 2 out of 3 times I lost, so it was really bad.
Right. But think about all the games you won because your opponent was too scared to click Fake Out, you know? You gotta think about those ones. But yeah, I imagine that we'll see a lot more Victory Road tournaments over the summer, which is going to be, like I said, probably the main metagame driving thing at this point, because we have no other tournaments until then, and we'll talk about when locals are starting up again actually at the end here, and we're talking about the circuit info because I believe that's mentioned in there. But yeah, are there any other teams that we think are stand out from this tournament that we probably think are worth talking about? Let me have a look here myself.
I think it's worth talking about. I think the Kinugawa team or similar builds are going to be taking over like future VR tournaments. I think
For
they'll
sure.
be all over the place.
It just
Smurgle
the
is so
press.
oppressive.
Go ahead, sorry, I cut you off.
Oh no, I was just saying like Smurgle's so oppressive right now, right? And then yeah, I mean you can't go wrong with Shadow Rider Smeargle because if you win every 50-50, you win the game on the spot.
Yeah. I'm just annoyed because like going into NAIC, it felt like there was like 6 different versions of Shadow Rider Zamazenta you had to be ready for, and it's just like, all right, now there's like a 7th one. Just like there's so many ways that this archetype can be built, and you kind of need like different counterplay for all of them. Not like entirely different. Like I can't say that, certain Pokemon aren't good against most versions of Shadow Rider Zamazenta, but this plays very differently than the team that Marco got second in NAIC with. It plays very differently from the team that I think we saw here in top 8 from Lewis Markle as well. There's just like a lot of things that separate these teams from each other, and you have to be ready for all of them. And being ready for all of them at the same time is not easy.
Yeah, I will say it's impossible. Like, you can't get a great matchup into every single CSR Zamazenta version. Like, even my team, for example, was always either 50-50 or in my favor against every Zamazenta CSR version. But if I faced like Ruben, for example, Ruben destroyed Luca in top 16. If I faced him, I was probably losing as well. Like, the Ruben's version, which had Sash CSR with Terra Fairy, Amungus, and Rillaboom was very bad. So anyway, there was always some version that, like, whatever team you run and whatever your matchup overall into CSR Zamazenta is, there will always be some versions that is gonna be strong into your team, I think. And I will say if you have a good matchup into every single version of this pair, your team is probably shit into everything else.
Yes.
You got. I think one of the right ways to pick teams in this format is understand which version of CSR Zamazenta is the one you want to lose to, and just be able to beat the ones that have the highest usage. I will say like Kinugawa's one is the most broken one at the moment. It's the most unfair one. Like Marco's comp is the most solid. This one is not solid in terms of gameplay because as 50-50s is almost every matchup. but it's just unfair because, as Chris said before, if you win them, you just win the games. And exactly as I mentioned before, I feel like this team can do pretty much what I have been doing with my team until now, but in a better way. Like, you have a good matchup, you win. You have a bad matchup, you force 50-50s. And you get way more things to do it because you got Smeargle, you got CSR, you have Wideguard, Thunderclap. I mean, everything that is not Torn or Rillaboom in this team has 50-50s. So, yeah, that looks unfair. Definitely unfair.
I know. As soon as we saw... Go ahead, Adi.
Oh, I was just gonna say, not only is it so unfair, but also the fact that Smeargle gives you such good odds, like where you just have a 1 in 6 chance of getting a speed boost, and then you have Decorate or Fast Spore Pressure, which is pretty absurd into a lot of teams. The team can't miss moves, right? Which is, I mean, other than like Blink Windstorm and Draco Meteor, it doesn't have any moves that can miss, which is also really, really strong. And so it has it's one of those teams that is going to get luckier than it gets unlucky, which is also really tough to play against. I saw a lot of Smeargle in Victory Road and also at NAIC across a lot of different archetypes. And that is maybe the harbinger of things to come, because that is always usually the sign of an unhealthy format to me. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if people can figure out how to beat the Smeargle team, because I really think right now, at least, after winning Japan Nationals, that's the team to beat in the format.
Didn't Smeargle make the graphic at NAIC, right? I think it did. It was top 12.
I actually played I think 2 Smeargle like back to back in Victory Road.
Yeah.
I played Marcus 13 Yoshi, and then I also played Lorenzo. That matchup, I won't say the matchup is bad. I think it's also 50-50. He was, I don't know how he finished. I think he finished 8-2.
Oh, it must be a different Lorenzo.
It was
no.
I might be wrong. It might have been someone else.
Yeah, gotcha.
Oh yeah, it was a Lorenzo. But basically, I led Koraidon Wake. Both of them went to game 3. So in all 6 games, I just led Koraidon Wake with Kali Shadow Mugus in the back. And both game 1s of both sets I actually lost because their Smeargle got like a speed boost turn 1. And then after the speed boost, I get spored. My whole team's asleep, right? But yeah, so into Marcus, like basically I just played the 50-50 every game, and every game I basically just got it completely correct to win. So into Koraidon Wake, right? They lead Kali Shadow, Smeargle. Their 3 options are like fake out the Wake and plot / Astral, or they fake out Koraidon, etc. If they fake out the Koraidon, it's actually bad for them. They always lose. Because what you do is you Snarl, break the Smeargle Sash, and then you just Hydro Steam and Flare Blitz the Kali to win. So Marcus kind of figured that out. He kept fake outing my Wake. The question was like, what would my Koraidon do that turn? So game 2, he like protects his Kali and tries to get a Spore off, but I called that, and then I like Flame Charge his Smeargle. Game 3, I conditioned him like into thinking I would click Flame Charge every time. So he just let his Kali eat a move that turn, and I went for Flare Blitz into his Rex, basically. So that's kind of how like my team approaches that matchup, I guess. Just play the 50-50.
I hate Shadow Rider, dude. Protect is honestly the most toxic move on it. It shouldn't learn Protect. Just this stupid horse. Yeah. Okay. So, what was I gonna mention? Oh yeah, something very minor earlier. Adi, you said 1 in 6 chance for speed. Am I mistaking? Is it? It's only 5, right?
1 in 5. Sorry. Yes.
Yeah.
You can't get.
Can't raise HP. The HP
That'd be
boost
pretty
on
cool if you
Smeargle. Oh man. Okay, so
doesn't get evasion anymore, right?
no,
I think it's a bit different because like there are 5 stats, but there is also one that is gonna be dropped. So how does it work?
Well,
like it's still 1 in 5, I guess, right?
It's 1 in 5 for because it's the first check is what goes up, and so it's 1 in 5, and then afterwards it's a 1 in 4 for what goes down.
Oh, okay, yeah, makes sense, right? Yeah,
I believe that's how it would be, but I'm not the best when it comes to
yeah,
these
it should work
cycles.
like that. Makes sense.
But yeah, I think other than that, it seems like a lot of people are trying out either teams that they saw from Japan Nats or NAIC. And yeah, we'll have to see if there's other things that like start to get like more popular, like Annihilate or Smeargle, some Pokemon that were a little more fringe early on, but Pokemon that you could expect to be very annoying in double restricted formats. Um, with that said, we were definitely talking about some of the results of Japan Nats. So why don't we go ahead and start talking about that one? I guess really quick before we do, Adi, you linked to me this St. Jude tournament. Let's give that a quick shout. Go ahead.
St. Jude is hosting another VGC charity tournament this upcoming weekend. So if you're looking for more best of 3 practice, I think this is a really good opportunity. It's got over 130-ish, I think, players already. I should double check that number.
I have it here.
Yeah, about 130. So yeah, it's gonna be a reasonably sized tournament this weekend. I might try to stream it. I did stream VR. I did not make day 2, but I think it's really nice to have like tournament level best of 3 practice. This VR tournament is very competitive, and I hope that the St. Jude charity tournament can be pretty competitive as well. And so you might be able to catch me streaming it again this weekend.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely cool to see these grassroots tournaments like giving us something to do in the summer, because it is just like, it's fun to continue to play the game and have like serious opportunities to compete. I mean, at the end of the day, like it is nice to just compete for the sake of competition, just doing as well as you can. So
and we got Topo Wapo commentating the tournament too, so you got to watch that.
And it's for a good cause, so why not help pitch in. Okay, so bringing us over to Japan though. So I don't actually have the full results here. Let's give it a refresh just in case.
If you check the Liberty Note page I linked, it has more of the teams.
Why didn't I? I should have grabbed it, and I must have skipped over it. Liberty Note. Here we go. Okay. So, Liberty Note here lists the top 8 teams, and might have some of the ones beyond. So I guess for the top 8 teams, though, we can look at them here because we have the Pokepastes linked, and so we can look at the sheets. And Kinagawa ended up going on to win the whole thing with the team that we were kind of already looking at earlier, featuring Smeargle, Shadow Rider, Zama, Tornadus, and the Rillaboom Raging Bull. Now, something that's kind of funny to me is like this team features Decorate Smeargle, and I look at it and I'm kind of like, it feels slightly out of place because you already have Nasty Plot on Shadow Rider. Decorate onto Zamazenta is a bit of a weird one because like you're not actually boosting its strongest attack usually. I don't know. The way that I saw Kinagawa play it, like there were some really cool situations where even against Miraidon teams, Smeargle was still just putting in work, decorating Shadow Rider on the switch in, giving it a Nasty Plot boost before, like as it's hitting the field, is just insanely scary. You never want to be sitting across from that, especially because if the Smeargle is still alive, you have to deal with it, or if you KO the Smeargle, then what's coming in to support the Shadow Rider is another Pokemon that it'd be happy to work with, whether it's Torn, Rillaboom, Zamazenta. Like, it's just all terrifying.
I feel like one of the most broken interactions you can do with Decorate is that you can like protect CSR and Decorate, and you're basically pressing Nasty Plot and Protect at the same time, and that's just unfair. Like if you're against something that you're faster than, you can just do that in a safe way. If you're against something that like 2 months that are both faster than Smeargle, here is another 50-50. And if I feel like you Decorate Protect, if they double shot Rider, you win the game. Like it's really tough to escape from that spot. And also, I saw from some Kinagawa games that Decorate on Tornadoes was just broken. Like Sharp Beak double Bleakwind Storm was just something that could sweep even stronger than Astro Brush sometimes.
From what I've heard, I think his CSR Zama matchup was leading towards Smeargle, and he just like Tailwind Spore, Decorate Bleakwind over and over and over.
Yeah, he kept doing that in that was like he's planning to anything that hasn't Miraidon or CIR.
So what's notable about that is that at least from the pace that Marcus posted, because I think Marcus worked on this with Aaron and Yuma together, they're not max speed Shadow Rider. And so they have a lot of bulk, but also it means that they can't play into any of the speed ties that you might normally expect Shadow Rider Mirror to end up having. And so yeah, it is interesting they kind of opted out of that entirely and said that Tornadus, Smeargle, and Wide Guard Zamazenta is enough to not have to play any of those speed ties in the mirror match.
Mm-hmm. Means
Yeah,
that you
I also
go ahead.
yeah, I also would like to point out that every time, every time that CSR has been doing really great, both in not in this format every time, but mostly in Reg G, it was not max speed. In Reg G, the period where CSR has been doing the best was when you could have played bulky, slow, Terra Fairy, Draining Case. Because I feel like hold the IVs in CSR to be max speed and just be wasting like 1 out of 4 of your IVs for only the mirror and being useless into any other matchup is just bad. And that's also why I think CSR was just mid in Reg G without double restricted. Once he started to need running max speed, but when he didn't run max speed and could have run bulky Terra Fairy Draining Case, it was just broken. And we also see it here again, like both bulk and offense, and just didn't care about the speed because of having the Torrents Mirgo line for the mirror and just having bulky and offensive CSR was just broken. So I think that every time someone found out how to play CSR without running max speed, they always have been doing really great, like both here and Reg G.
It just pisses me off because like here I am using my Miraidon, Ice Rider, and like my whole thing is that I want you to be wasting those speed EVs, and if you're not wasting those speed EVs and you're getting greedy and running something that's still faster than my Miraidon, but also bulkier and stronger than your typical max speed Shadow Rider, like it just feels like you're cheating. It just feels like you're using more than 252 or 510 whatever EVs when you really aren't. You just decided that your Shadow Rider matchup
Yeah,
can be won in
but
other
that's
ways.
just because you're used to play against CSR with like 300
Yes.
IVs.
Yes. Right, exactly. It's so cheap. But yeah, this is the team that I expect to be catching on, definitely. And there's a couple of things that we also haven't mentioned yet, like just the grass on Zam isn't super typical. But it gives it other options. Like one, it's really good against Leech Seed Ice Rider. It's good against Amoonguss and Spores. And can dodge Rage Powders. So that's like a really cool tool that this team can use. And the other thing that I think is really strong on the team is that the Tornadus just has Taunt. You see a lot of these Torns run like Rain Dance just for weather control reasons, but the Taunt can really disable some strong options from teams, and I've seen that also put in a lot of work.
Notably about the Terra Grass, I think that when I was playing CSR Zama, that was one reason I was reluctant to do that is because you often need to tear the Zamazenta in the Koraidon matchup. But in terms of the broader Japan Nats metagame, we don't have all the teams. We have a lot of the teams. I don't see a single Koraidon in top 32. So if that was a meta call, that was a really good one because that is just not super common in Japan for whatever reason.
I think
Yeah,
NIC
like any
NIC
year there is something that Japan players do not run at all. Like last year there was not any single Zamazenta, and Hanya won with that Rapagos team. We just had no matchup at all to Zamazenta. And he also said mentioned in the report that he knew that, but this team also had like there were also some other people running teams that just had a bad matchup to Incineroar, literally, because they were saying in the reports like in Japan they don't run Incineroar, so and even in this format where I would say Incineroar is better than how it was in early Reg G, we can see that there are way less Incineroars here than in the Europe or NA tournaments.
Yes. Yeah. I think that playing towards the metagame is definitely a strong thing to be doing, especially if it's such like a small tournament. Like we're not going to be nearly this small at the World Championships, but still, you're kind of like going to have a pretty good idea of the player base. For Japan Nats, they literally know who all is qualified, and if they really wanted to break it down, they could look at everybody in the list and say like, I've heard of this player before. They like to play this type of style. And just kind of recognizing that a lot of people don't like to play Koraidon or certain other strategies, and just being weak to that on purpose can be really broken if you expect to be able to dodge it. There was a Kyogre Koraidon team. I'm sorry, did I miss that? I was just scrolling fast. Because that would be
There was oh my god, what is that? Yeah, I think 49 just lost both the winners and losers bracket, right?
Yeah, I think if you're bottom 64, you might have just gone 0-2.
Yeah,
29th, yeah.
I
see what
think it
you're
makes sense to go 0-2 with Kyle Greco-Rydon.
saying. Yeah. Being completely honest, I would have to agree. Sad.
And there was also another Korai, I think, if you go up a bit, there was like another, that one CSR Koraidon Grims are insane.
mhm.
And also
one
another
here as
one,
well.
yeah,
Also,
3 Koraidon out of 64 is not a lot.
I do
Yeah,
like
I mean,
the
granted, we
people
only
in chat.
have a fraction of the teams, but yes, it's a very low representation given what we've seen in Western tournaments.
Well, I think even NAIC had a lot less Koraidon if we look at like the top cut.
Mhm.
Well, I'm not gonna say like less in Japan, but like
Right.
in cut, I think we see like 2, right?
Just two,
It's
yeah.
like a
Well,
3. No,
yeah,
2.
2 in cut, but we had a whole lot in top 64, right? Way more than Japan seems to have.
Adi, they only had 64 players.
I know. Well, that's why I compared it to top 64. We had 11 in top 64. We see 3, and we maybe have 16, 17 teams we don't know.
Right.
So
This is
how many people qualify? Is it like top 32?
No, for this for
It's top
Japan,
64.
they're all qualified.
Oh, they're all qualified.
You only play for like the trophy and the travel award at the Japan.
And the shirt, do not forget the shirt. Unbelievable that you would forget the shirt. I think top 32 gets a shirt and a hat. I don't know. I don't know where to find it. It was on the stream. I think basically if you placed in the upper half, you get a stream and a shirt.
Top 32 it was there.
Oh wait, it is right here. Cap and shirt. Yeah. No, this is really what everybody's here for. And mostly everyone's here for the Pokemon Home commemorative medal because, you can't get that anywhere else. In fact, I don't know. Fede, did you get a Pokemon Home commemorative medal for winning NAIC? I don't think so.
No, and I also didn't get one for getting top 4 awards, even if the awards top cut was in Pokemon Home because of the spectator mode. So
that's true. That's true.
Oh man.
Where's your Pokemon Home commemorative medal? Come on.
What?
It's
don't
okay.
know
You
what
get
to do, to be honest.
at least you get a Pokemon that gets given out as an event. Do you know which Pokemon were given out as an event for you?
I don't know, because it's also weird because it looks like they never go for legendaries, so most likely they're not gonna give Miraidon, Lunala, or Urshifu. Insane is not gonna be it because they just gave Wolves one, so it's not gonna be Insane. It's one between Whimsicott and Ursaluna. It will make sense to be Ursaluna because it's like my signature Pokemon. Like I played 3 events with Ursaluna. I got World Top 4 NAC win and Bologna Top 16, and also a GC win with Ursaluna. So they should give it. And also, usually it's also about how well the Pokemon did in the finals. And Whimsicott just pressed Tailwind in game 1 and didn't appear in game 2 and game 3. But they also might not want to give Ursaluna because it comes from another game, and also gifting 0 speed IVs Ursaluna would help too much, maybe. So it's gonna be either Whimsicott and Ursaluna. I really hope it's gonna be Ursaluna, but I don't know.
That would be cool.
It's not gonna be on.
I think you'd be everyone's hero if you gave out a 0 IV Ursaluna. I think everyone wants that.
Yes, that would be so sick, and everyone would be using your Ursaluna, so that'd be so cool. All right, so yeah, obviously the silly shirt thing aside, there were some other. So yeah, we kind of briefly talked about Zine earlier. We're actually talking about this a bit off stream, but Zine did end up reaching out to you, Fede.
Yeah, he asked me for the team and just changed some stuff, but not like he changed a lot the spreads, and in the sets he just went for Terra Water, Urshifu, and Terra Fire Whimsicott, and everything else was the same. Also same nature, so I think I will say Zin plays way different than any other Japanese players, because Zin is the kind of player that he just does the exact thing that I was mentioning before. Like I don't know how good or bad is Zin at team building, but he just always goes for, he picks up a standard team that has did the best results in the format and just tries to play it at the best. Like he was a main Arubega in Reg G. He is now using my team. When he won Worlds, he was just using the most standard Japanese balance. So it looks like Zin always goes for the most solid team in terms of results and just aims to play it at the best without caring about building a call, which is way different than any other Japanese players. So it looks like any other Japanese players just try to cook more. But I mean, it looks like it works well because Zin has been, I would say, the most successful Japanese players in Scarlet and Violet. Yeah, 100%.
No, he's been doing very, very good. And like you said, just kind of follows the trends. Just whatever's doing well recently, Zin's just going to pick it up and do well with it. So that's kind of funny. I mean, again, just kind of goes to show that you don't always have to be the best like team builder or cook up some kind of crazy team. You can just be a very good player at piloting what's already been proven.
Yeah, this reminds me of when I was talking a bit with some friends, including Marco, before, like right after the first Reg I VictoryRoad tournament, and I was like, what's the source? What's the call for the next event? And Marco was like, the call is being good at playing, and he was right. Like, that's just the best call.
I respect the hell out of that. That is really, really good advice. I love that. Not advice everybody can take, but we can all try to get better at that. Sometimes I think it's just like good advice for literally players of all levels is to just like, don't sweat the team so much. Just pick a team now. Pick the team that you think is the best pick for you, and then now spend the rest of the time working on yourself, working on your play. All right, so talking about some more of the teams from Japan Nats though, and third place ended up being the Mousehold one, which of course, when you look at this, you might have some different ideas as to how it's going to play when you're playing in the closed team sheet portion of the tournament, because, again, this was closed team sheet until top 8, best of 1. And then once you got past that, open team sheet best of 3 with Natures, by the way. Natures is always the funny thing because they get a little bit more info than we get. And I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of Pokemon that knowing the nature changes a lot. So regardless, they had the funny Pop Bomb Mousehold. Not a Pokemon that we've seen in quite a bit. And so, yeah, the pace has been posted for this one. Maybe I'll go see if I can find it. But yeah, any thoughts on this team? How did you like it? Okay.
My question is how does this team beat like Murad and stuff? I don't know. I feel
Assault guy, maybe.
Silver Cali.
It's probably just gonna be decorate on AV Kali. That's probably
right.
That's probably what maybe I guess they like considering this plays the most of the tournament in close team sheet. They just force like this team looks like an Artricum, so you might not expect Scarf Kyogre looking into it in close team sheet. So they might just want to force Miraidon to Terra with a Glacial Lance Pressure and then just punish it with Water Spout with Choice Scarf. I guess that's how they play. But also that's odd take, but I feel like the Japan Nets lost the whole of their aura since we play with the open team sheet in our circuit, because it's just like in the finals of Japan Nets we see two normal teams that did really great at NAC, because right after you enter the best of 3 open team sheet phase, all the teams with all the gimmick strategies, they always lose immediately, and they always leave space for the most solid ones that you already knew about. So it's just like every time the Japanese players cook for the national, like Japanese are the best at team building in the world. Like every time a good Japanese players cook something, it always has a really big influence, because like Kim cooked both the Rio Scalmine Lunala team from Reg G and Marco San from Reg H. Arubega cooked the best team in Gen 9. So I'm not talking about how good they are at team building, but just that since they have this structure, they dedicate their effort to just build something to scam in, like win 4 or 5 sets in a row scamming with best of 1 close team sheet. So this is just like, look at this Braxish team. We are not gonna have this in our meta with best of 3 open team sheet. And it's just like they either play normal teams we already knew about, or play things that just cannot work with best of 3 open team sheet. So that's why I don't like that much Japan Nets anymore. Like, this is really funny, but we are not gonna have any good influence for Worlds because of this team.
Mm-hmm. And it says a lot about the I think the weird mishmash format where we have the closed team sheet until top 8 and then open team sheet after that, right? Where this is a tournament where at the end of the day all the prizing is basically for top 8 where you get the travel awards to worlds. There's no real incentive to
Top
I mean,
four.
obviously you'd like to become the Japan national champion, but the difference between getting first and getting 8th is pretty minimal in terms of prizing. And so the players do have an incentive to come up with a lot more cheese. And then, like you said, it does feel like a lot of those times those teams are playing with 3 or 4 mon teams when they get to the open team sheet part of the tournament. And so, yeah, it does feel kind of silly, and it does feel like, oh, we got to the top 8 teams are cool. The top 8 teams are kind of on an even playing field, and the 2 standard teams did end up winning because they had the most versatility when you got to open team sheet. That is a little less fun to watch the day 2 part of it once that happens.
Mm-hmm. No, I'm very much backing up the take here because when I looked at this, I was just like, there's very little. There's just not a lot of teams that are going to have influence on the metagame. Besides Kinagawa, like putting a bit more of a spotlight on the team, but Kinagawa literally himself got top 8 at NAIC, so already a team that people are going to have to be respecting. But yeah, a lot of these teams
Maybe.
I just don't.
I feel like, we were talking about this like Smeargle Caloric Ice team is cheesy, but there was a couple other Smeargle Caloric Ice teams that did very well. I think that's like a real takeaway that we have to have is that like maybe this is a real composition, maybe not specifically with like the Mousehold and the Scarf Kyogre, but when there's 2 Smeargle Caloric Ice teams in top 8, I think that is genuinely means something, even though again they are both like kind of cheesy sets. The other one has eject pack Smeargle on it. With power band Kyogre.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there was the Shiliang group from NAIC running it with Kyogre, as opposed to I guess. Well, no, most of the ones we've seen were Kyogre. Not even like quite a hard Trick Room build, though. Is what I'm trying to say. It's not like the Lunala stuff like that. Just running Smeargle because again, we were talking about it earlier. Smeargle is just a Pokemon that can do a lot in double restricted formats when having a focus sash is enough to make you considered, quote, bulky. Taking 2 hits to get rid of is actually a pretty big deal when the hits that we're talking about are like water spouts and glacial lances. So no surprise that Smeargle is starting to see a little bit more usage now, and I think it will be something to continue to watch out for at Worlds, even on like a variety of teams. But yeah, let's see. I think then we didn't really talk about the Bruxish one because there's like a lot of funny things about it. Notably, Jolly Shadow Rider. I think I heard it was just like they forgot to mint it or something like that. They messed it up. That's not intentional. But still a very, very funny team. Surf, Flip Turn, Bruxish able to activate Terrafire. It was hilarious seeing the I think this played against the Mousehold team, and the it went for Terrafire Terra Blast into the Ice Rider that Terra grasped to dodge Astral Barrage, and it didn't actually KO at +2 because it was Assault Vested Ice Rider, and it was just like kind of peak in terms of like my gimmick falling short of KOing your gimmick, and it was really, really funny. Isn't Jolly for the Terra Blast? I don't think they wanted it intentionally. No.
Yeah, it's not. I was trying to consider if there was ever a scenario where it could make sense. Because it's like if you go Jolly instead of Timid, after you get 2 or Spirit Break and you get +2 attack and +0 special attack, Terra Blast is gonna be physical, but it didn't make any sense. It was just I was trying to find out any sense in being Jolly, but there is not. Actually, there was a set in game 1. In day 1, he beat Kyogre SG in the streaming match. And there is to lose because Expanding Force just missed a double KO because of being Jolly.
No.
Like I think one of them would have still been missed, but the other one with Timid they would have got it. So it's
Super
wild
unfortunate.
that still did. Like this team was scamming so much that it still did really well, even with Jolly CSR.
I'll be honest, if I got hit by Terra Fire Blast on a Kyogre team, like I would just put my game down. Like I would have to log off for the day. That's just insane. Terra Fire Blast on a rain team. I just don't even know.
That's the kind of thing that if I will lose to that in a GC, I will say it's time to take a break. That's all.
Yes.
It's over for today.
Absolutely time to just take a step back. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of teams here that we'll see if there's team reports and stuff for. It was actually funny seeing. I think the Overquill played Eternatus on stream. I don't know how well the Eternatus ended up finishing.
I
it
think
was like Eternatus Pagos. Oh, here it is.
Yeah, not too well. I think in terms
Mhm.
of like feature metagame impact, the fact that the Grimmsnarl, Miraidon, Groudon team also got top 8. That was, I think, the team that Mao Harada used at NAIC did quite well there. So it's cool. And again, another one of those cases where someone had used the team at NAIC. I think it's the same team. I'm not sure.
This one?
But yeah. I got to pull
I
up
believe so.
Geo's translations, but yeah, it's so that's another team where like not a team really anyone in the West had considered using, and maybe has more staying power than we thought. Like it's a combo that hasn't seen a lot of experimentation, but did quite well.
But that
Mhm.
was this team was from Bezad in Portland.
Oh,
Like
was it?
Right.
Okay.
I think Bezad is the one that built that first build that. I think
Bezad
it
was
was
using
playing.
something very close to this originally. Although, from what I heard, Mao, I believe, qualified. No, I guess it wouldn't be that way because GC3 was not Reg I yet. Never mind. I don't know. But yeah, I do remember seeing Bezad use something very similar to that. And Bezad's, well, not Bezad, but I think it was Jonathan Kembakar who ended up going pretty deep with it. So yeah, shout out to him
Yeah,
for
but that
having
was
some.
just the Bezad team. Like I remind
Yeah.
this guy shouting out Bezad for building together.
Oh no, I know John. John does work with Bezod 100%. John's a very cool guy. But yeah, the yeah, I know Bezod was the one that was cooking that. Bezod, I mean, just definitely one of the cooler team builders right now. That guy can definitely build. Um, all right, so yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's that much more to talk about for Japan Nats. It was cool watching the stream, getting to stream watching some of it as well for the people that were there for that. Um, and yeah, with that, let's go ahead and talk about some of the circuit stuff here to round things out. So, man, I have too many tabs. I just gotta close some of these. Um, let's see. I don't actually know if I have this in a good order at all, but basically, we got dropped today a bunch of information about the 2026 circuit, both on locations as well as some structural changes. Let's actually start with the locations. I feel like that's going to be like an easy one to just kind of like walk into the topic on. And so,
The tweet I sent you before has everything. Like the Victory Road one has
yeah, I
everything.
got
Like,
that here. We could also just go through it in this order as well. That seems fine by me. VGC, okay, the locals that was mentioned. I was right. Okay. Locals coming back on the 1st of September. That's like about what we would expect, although not based off of last year, right? I remember playing some locals in July just because they were there. No, I went back on
Yeah,
that.
this year I mean, historically they haven't had locals in between NAIC and Worlds. Last year, I believe they did have them between NAIC and Worlds, and I guess they decided that was a bad idea for whatever reason. I really didn't mind it, but I do know people who were like, why do I know people who have completed their BFL before, the World Championships? That is a little strange.
Yeah.
Maybe they got feedback from stores or I don't know, but yeah, I guess there's no locals until September 1st, which I think is like pretty reasonable, all things considered. It's not a big deal to me either way.
Um, and so what did they exactly change about the locals? I keep reading it and my eyes
Nothing.
like gloss over after. Okay, cool.
They changed
Not much.
that now you have to have 14 people instead of 17 people for top 8 points. And I think that's the only thing, really.
Okay, sure, whatever. Okay, so then they did change the payouts at regionals and internets as well, I believe. We actually got tagged in one that made it actually pretty clear. Let me go ahead and just grab that.
I think the change is interesting because I feel like now it would make more sense to have the top 8 jump. because with like the new tournament format, if you're making top 8 slash maybe top 16, it basically means you made cut, right? So I feel like that's
Right.
where you would want the distinction more than ever.
It's also tied together because no, Chris, you're absolutely right here, but I don't think we've actually even mentioned it to people that
We haven't
aren't
mentioned
informed
it.
yet. What's happened? So let's figure out where that's mentioned in any of these. Too many links. Um, there, I think
Yeah,
here.
so
So go ahead, Adi.
What happened is this is actually exactly what a lot of us have been asking for a long time. Is that if you add an extra round of Swiss on top of what we had at this current year's events, then what usually happens is you get under the top, then you have under 16 players who are X2 or better, and therefore you actually cut out a round of top cut. And so they've just kind of codified that into rule. Now we just have one additional round of Swiss on top of whatever we would have from the season, and we hard cut to either top 16 or all X2 cut. When I was doing the math, and I think Andrew posted a link to this, it means that we never would have had the season. We never would have had a 17th player missing out on X2. There's a very few specific numbers of players who would have a chance of us having an X2 miss top cut. But I really like this change, and it's because now all the other placements, you have one extra game to kind of prove that you deserve to be in that top 32 range, in that top 64 range, when you're in the X3, X4 tables, instead of losing round 9 of day 2 and saying like, well, I have nothing to play for now. And so I really like this change. Just having more day 2 Swiss rounds and one fewer top cut round, it ends up being the same amount of Pokemon being played overall, but now more people get to play it, and a bigger sample size is usually better, in my opinion.
I think it's also very full circle. This is very similar to what we had. Like before they added this day 2, like the whole new format. It's very similar to what we had, but now we just have asymmetrical top 8 instead of a top 8 with like, having to qualify off roads.
Yeah, it was. I feel like the top 32, like not quite 32 people, but we would frequently end around like 25 people or something like that, and it just felt a little too big to be already entering the elimination phase of the tournament. And so that one more round being the exact same thing basically, but now we start with between 9 and 16 or so, is just gonna feel like a lot. It feels like it makes a lot more sense. It just feels like where the prizing will line up a little bit better with that, and that it'll also feel like you're playing, like you're basically playing that elimination match in the last round of Swiss anyways, but like everybody's playing it. It'll better seed you into the bracket and decide where you end up on prizing. But yeah, as Adi was mentioning earlier, Andrew Whitman ran the numbers here. I was also seeing the numbers DM'd to me by Duck Pond as well. Basically confirming that there's like 2 danger zones and that we dodged both of them completely last season. The first one is a very small, not very small, but a relatively small window of 490 to 512 players, which means that somebody could bubble this. To be fair, there's this like top 16 cap. Like it's everybody with the same record as 8th, but they cap it at 16. I'm guessing the reason the cap is there is they really cannot afford to spend another hour where somebody is playing the win and in. Let's say that there's 17 people exactly. That means that 16 and 17 would have to play a quote top 32 match, a win and in to decide the top 16 bracket. And they just said that we can't make that happen schedule wise. So in the very rare scenario that it happens in like 490 to 512, they might be one person. And then I think in the 830 to 1024 range, there also could be several people in that range. However, based on tournaments that we had last season, none of them were actually in that. We were either well above it or below it by a good amount. Now, it's still a pretty big window, 830 to 1024. I definitely could see it happening. But yeah, it really, I think over the course of the entire next season, there will be probably 1 to 2 people who get screwed over by this. I really hope it doesn't happen. I'm not wishing for it to happen. I can kind of understand why they cap it at 16, but yeah, it's pretty unlikely that this will end up occurring.
Yeah. The other weird thing is that in the events with less players, in which we are gonna have like 12, 13 people in Top Cut, something like that. There are gonna be some people making money prize at regionals
True.
without making Top Cut, which is something that never happened before. But you could have done it at international, so I think it's fine to be possible to do it at regionals as well. But yeah, that's not definitely a too bad thing. I would say the only really bad thing is the 8:30 to 10:24 range. Like that looks a bit too big to
It
just
is
be a
big.
range. Like it's 200 players, so it's a big range. The other one it's really low, and I also calculated before that. Like in the worst case, like even with 511 people, there could only be one person missing, I think. And even in case they miss, like it's not necessarily happening. Like it's also based on how down pairs and eventual
Yes.
DQs and this kind of stuff go. So I would say the first one is fine. They should fix the second one. Like the making just only in the very specific case it happens, just make a tiebreaker between the ones that go X2 and miss. Overall it's a good change, but I think it's a bit worse to go from a system that makes you 100% enter in the top cut with X2 into a one that even if there are very small chances, gives you a chance to bubble out with X2.
Well,
I would not.
I kind of agree. And I'll point out some tournaments. I know none of the tournaments this year would have been in that range, but last year both NAIC and Bologna would have been in that range, that danger zone. One person might have bubbled out of top cut, so it is actually quite likely to happen. But yeah, it's going to screw over maybe like 2 people total over the course of the entire season. Which will suck for those people. I think that it could maybe be fixed if you because I think 1025 is where we add another round, right? That's why we had 4 rounds in day 2 of NAIC. Is that right?
Yes. Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if we just added that extra round at 830 people, then this entire situation would be alleviated. So there's actually a very simple solution if they want to proactively deal with this problem.
It's,
And
it's assuming that like a pair wins or something like that, right? That's kind of how the danger zones happen, or am I mistaken?
mhm. It will. I'm not sure if it's every, but it comes down. There will be at least a few chances for us to avoid it, even when we get into that range.
Gotcha.
Got it. Yeah, a lot of science.
But yeah,
behind that. I'm totally following. Go
I
ahead.
also think the other notable thing that I think is actually very cool is that we are actually very likely to have, and if you scroll down, Andrew had the exact numbers for each of the regionals this year, NA regionals this year, how many people made top cut, right? So 14, 15, 12 in that range. It's usually between 12 and 15. Only a couple of them had 16, one of them being Portland. And so a lot of times that means that if you go undefeated in Swiss, you actually lock yourself into top 8. And a lot of times if you go X1, and it's like a 12-person top cut, you're also very likely to be to guarantee yourself top 8. And so that is also very cool. It rewards the people who have done very well over the course of in this case 12 rounds of Swiss. And I think that those players shouldn't have a chance to lose in top 16 and get kind of screwed out of what was a lot of championship points. I think it's actually quite good that the players who perform the best in Swiss are getting you're having a little more of incentive to do very, very well in Swiss now.
And so the point ranges, as I was looking at earlier, like they ended up changing it slightly. I lost that tab. This is just the numbers playing. Maybe it was this one. Okay. So, yeah, they ended up changing the payouts a little bit. This is internets, and it's just like less points for some of the like middling high places, I guess. Like, if you're going deep at NAIC, you're still getting the same amount of points, or UIC or LAIC. You just get a little bit less points in the middle there, and then for
You get more points in the middle now. I believe.
Oh, more. My bad. I'm mistaken.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
misspeaking. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong numbers. These are 2025. Yes. So you get more points for those. Okay, so it's getting like not quite. I mean, it's still top heavy, but like I guess it's top heavy trickling down a little further. I guess. And then I thought there was a regional one as well. Yes, regionals
This one's
also
regionals.
more points.
And this is super fair, in my opinion. So you see that there used to be a jump from 160 points in top 16 to 280 points in top 8, and now they've bumped it up to 200 points from top 16 to 280 for top 8, which I think is a lot more fair. Just making it so you aren't super duper punished for losing that one. I mean, in the past it would have been that one top cut set. Now it's the one win and in set. You're not playing you're not playing an 80 championship point match in top 16. That is kind of crazy, right? So
No, it is 80.
I just
It
like
was
the fact
120, right?
sorry, yes, you're not playing the 120 point match in top 16. That was pretty crazy. So I think this is a very, very good change, and overall alleviates one of the biggest problems that I had with the circuit this year.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of like good players this year also may have like missed worlds because like they just didn't get that one top 8 they needed.
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel like the one top 8 just goes a long way. For the people like kind of sitting near the border, they were like like 850 or 900, they would have like easily qualified for worlds just by getting like that one set difference, which is kind of insane to say. It's like
Right.
120 points more, right?
I know it
Yeah,
is.
I also like that change because
Yeah.
I think the cool thing here is that in both internets and regionals, they just kept the same for the very high positions, and also kept the same for the very low position. Just increase the mid ones, and the ones that you need to make day 2 to get them. Like this rewards way more making day 2 and not making top cut, which I honestly consider a mid finish. But at the same time, I feel like there is like until now there has been a too low difference between going 5-3 or going day 2 without making top cut. Like I remember in 2023, I made 6 day 2s out of 7 tournaments, but only cut once every time I was going bad in day 2. And I was at the end of day 2 where I got top 32 or top 64. I was always feeling like I just got 10 more CPs or 20 more CPs than someone who didn't make day 2 and no prize. So I think that's great that the day 2 average placements are rewarded way more. Like they did the same at internets, increasing top 128, that you still need to make day 2 at NAC and EOIC to get it, but didn't do it for top 256, which you will need. You could also make it with 5-3 with the high rating, which is the same thing for regionals. So that's such a cool change. And also, of course, getting rid of the 120 points dump between top 16 and top 8. So that's definitely a good change.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember at Atlanta regionals, the same weekend as the GC, I lost my win into Chris, and then got top 64 and said, "Oh, I would have gotten more points for staying at home, not playing day 2, and just playing the GC instead." So yeah, I actually am very glad they've made the jump between top 128 and top 64 much bigger, because that does feel like the difference to me between like a mediocre regional result and a good regional result.
Mm-hmm. Right here below is mentioned, and it's probably mentioned in one of these other links as well. But the world's not bars, the number of invites. I don't know. A lot of people are saying bar, and it's confusing me as somebody who played during the bar era. Like we had like a championship point bar that was like a finite number that you had to get. I don't know. Like the top X system is kind of what I think of it as. The top X system is being increased for all regions except juniors, seniors, and Oceania. I guess juniors and seniors aren't a region, but you get what I mean. Yeah, we got 5 more invites in the US. Same for Europe. LATAM got up to 60 over 50. And I would assume that they didn't change anything about the auto invites. I just saw the question in chat, so I'm guessing that that's got to be the same. So we ended up having 83 in NA, right? So we had 5, 3, 8 auto invites. So I would expect something similar, especially if we have a similar number of events coming in the next season.
We had more than 8. Because
Wait,
not
did I do the
everyone
math
ended
wrong?
up getting into the top 80.
Oh,
But
thank you. I was like,
yeah,
8 seems small.
I think no, we had 11 total, I think. So
Was it
we had
89?
but Yeah, that's right. That's right. It was like 89 invites overall, something like that.
Yeah, okay. I think that's what I remember hearing. We were literally talking about this like a week ago, and I'm already forgetting. But regardless, though, I don't know. We're all players that qualified for the World Championships to various degrees. Whether we have 2,000 plus championship points, like some people in the call, or did a little more skating by. But what do you guys think about them making it bigger? I don't know, Fede. What are your thoughts?
So I think that's great. Like I top X system, just making words harder to reach. I think increasing a bit the slots is a expecting them to do it. I just I'm a bit disappointed about US and Europe getting 5 more and Latin American getting 10 more. Like I think Latin American has too much invites. Not necessarily considering just Latin American, but just considering it compared to Europe and US. Like I will say, if Latin American has 60, US and Europe should have 100. But I'm more like, if I think more like, if we have 80, they should have 50 or 40, something like that. Because I like the idea of words being smaller. But yeah, I think I like all the chains so far. The only one that we also didn't talk about yet, that I'm not sure it's gonna be a good idea, or at least for me personally, considering the results I had this year in the GC, is not gonna be the best. It's how they reward the GCs now, because now they're gonna give the GCs the points based on the region. So even if you're still playing the GC against the entire world, if you get like top 64, like talking about me as a European, but 30 people above me, like 32 people above me are American or just not European, I'm gonna get top 32. So that's a very big change. And we actually don't have the GC payouts yet, so they're most likely gonna change them.
Mhm.
But that's an interesting change, because, like, on my perspective, I say I don't like it because this season I won 2 GCs. So if you get very high placements, it's not gonna change anything in terms of how many points you get, but it's gonna change a lot in terms of how much more you get compared to the other players in your region. So this is gonna impact a lot for invites and travel awards. If you like if you win a GC in this season, you get an insane advantage for like in the last season, you would have got an insane advantage for travel awards and invites. Now maybe you can win a GC, but the other players in your region have a lot of non-European players above them, so they're gonna get not that much less CPs than you, despite you getting like more than 100 more points in a GC than them. So that's I will not say, like, that's just my perspective. I will not say that's a bad change overall. I think it's great because it just makes the GCs more balanced, and it gives better chances for people who do not play too much major events to get more points at home. But at the same time, it makes the measure matter the same or even more. So it's not a bad change. I just don't like it on my perspective, because I think if you were one of the best GCs players, this is a nerf for you. But it looks like they're rewarding more all the players that do average placement, which is not a bad thing. So they're just they are rewarding the average player way more than the bad player, and just reducing how different is the payout for very good players and average players, which is not a bad thing. It's just like, if you perform bad, you don't get rewarded. If you perform above average, like I will say, like not getting top cut at the regional, like if you day to a tournament with 700 people and you get top 64, is still way above average. So it's fine to get rewarded because of that. And it's gonna be the same thing for a GC. And that, I will say, is gonna have a big impact on the mentality of people playing the GCs, because maybe many times people would have stopped saying, if I lose, I'm gonna lose a lot of points. I'm gonna expect them to also change the dump from top 64 to top 32 at a GC, which was a bit unfair. Like, top 64 got 80, top 32 got 120, and I guess they're gonna make this closer between them as well. And like both the eventual championship points table for GCs and how they change the way the payouts work might just make people less scared of gambling their points in a GC. Like, I would expect people to just try hard more once they reach their goal instead of just stopping.
I think there's two big question marks. The first is, or one big question mark is that what the payout table is going to look like, because yeah, like you said, if they're giving out 170 points for first place in your region, and top 120 points for top 32 in your region, all of a sudden proportionally that means a lot more points are being given out to each region. And yeah, it will reward you for getting kind of mediocre results. Getting not necessarily mediocre, top 32 in your region is still quite good, but relatively speaking, where it's only top 32 in the world, now a lot more people are going to be getting a lot more championship points. So it wouldn't surprise me if they actually reduced the GC payouts a lot as a result of this. So because otherwise, proportionally, they're going to count for a lot more of a percentage of a Worlds invite, because a lot more people are just going to get into top 32. So that's the one big question mark is, given these changes, I would expect them to dramatically decrease the number of points that you can get from your GCs, or at least ideally the way that I would like to see it is dramatically reduce the points you can get for GCs outside of getting, first, second, I think above top 8, right? And if you have a really top heavy payout for the GCs where, yeah, if you win, you get 150 points if you win your region. But if you get top 8 in your region, you only get 100 points. And if you get top 32 in your region, you only get like 40 points. Then all of a sudden, I think it becomes a lot more fair. But right now, I'd be worried that a lot of people are going to be able to get a lot of points from the GCs, and it's going to count towards more of a Worlds invite than it should.
Yeah, I agree.
Adding on to that, I think logistic-wise, it makes sense to have GC payouts like this, because that's kind of how like regionals work right now, anyways. I guess maybe not internationals, but I would say GCs are probably comparable to like a regional level event. Like obviously we don't see a ton of NA players going to EU events, stuff like that. So it's basically similar to what we have. And I think the other thing is like on the payout side, I think they also do need to lower I think overall how much CP these give out, because essentially what I'm kind of reading is that it's going to be like mandatory basically to have like a lot of good GC placements to make Worlds. So yeah, I think they should reduce the payout realistically.
No, they're making them very important, and I mean, you were supposed to take them seriously last year. I mean, hell, I know a lot of friends that just did not take them as seriously as they should have, and missed Worlds invites off of that because they said, like, I just don't like these types of tournaments. I don't do well in them. I'm not going to really sweat them. I'm going to earn my points elsewhere, and like, there's just too many. And now, if they don't change the points, there's just too many points. Sorry, if they don't change the amount of points they give with this new rating zone separation thing, that is going to be way too many points to be leaving on the board. And so, I mean, even as we said, quote, mediocre finishes are still going to be, it's still going to be earning a lot of points. Yeah. Fede, what were your 3 top finishes from last season? You had 2 firsts, and didn't you have like a top 4 as well?
No, I had 2 firsts and 1 top 16.
Oh, only a top 16. How pathetic. Yeah. Oh, wow. I mean, I can't imagine anybody that could do that bad. Wow.
I also had a top 16 off the BFL.
Oh, no. You had like another top 16, you're saying?
Yeah. I got top 16 and the first 2. Like last year, the GCs felt really good to me because I got top 16 at the first 2, and I was just scared, like exactly what I was mentioning before. First 2 GCs, I just wanted to stop whenever I got enough for top 32 or top 16. Like I was aiming top 32 and then just ended up getting 2 top 16 in a row by a coincidence that I just was like 33rd or 34th post time, played the game for top 32 and just sneaked into top 16. And then just stopped there both times with 9 remaining games, which I should have tried to win probably. And then just at the first time I decided to try to win, I made it. So that I just had regrets of not playing the whole GCs the times before. Like what this told me is that you should always, if you think you're a good player, you should always gamble. Like even accept to drop down and just suck for some time, but just always aim to win without being scared. And that's something that, as I said before, I expect way more people to start doing if they also reduce the payout. So maybe there is not going to be, like, one of the main reasons why people have been always stopping at a certain score is just that the dump between between top 32 and top 64 was just too unfair to risk to lose it. Like these 40 points could have mean to lose an invite or a travel award for someone. So if they fix that, I would like them to fix that. Also, just to see way more people trying to get first instead of stopping. So since I'm gonna play every GC aiming to get first, I would like to have way more competition. And just to have it harder. Like I will say, one of the main reasons why I managed to win 2 and also Joji managed to win 3 is because like the amount of people that could actually compete with you if you're one of the best is very low, because maybe there are very high amount of people that could be on that level and could just win by trying it. They're just not gonna try it because they're enough with the points, which makes sense.
Sure,
So yeah,
sure.
it will just be way more competitive if everyone has a good reason to keep gambling instead of stopping.
Yeah, and I do think that another thing that will add to people wanting to play it out more and not park is that we don't know your placement anymore, because all of a sudden now, if you are sitting in top 32, if you're sitting in 32nd place, you don't know how many of the people above you are from NA versus EU versus LATAM. And so all of a sudden now you actually do have a pretty big incentive to keep playing just because of that uncertainty.
That's a good point. I didn't think about that. Even in the global or the grand challenges, which, as far as I remember, Fede, you're just a grand challenge farmer, right? What was your best global?
So that's very weird, because my best, like I have all my best finishes, like the 2 top 16 and the 2 first in all in grand challenges. And my best global in this season as top 64. I just did top 64 at every global, and then these other ones were replacement from the grand challenge. And in general, in the global, the max I got was top 16 last year.
No, obviously, I'm not trying to detract from your wins. They're very, very impressive, of course. I just thought it was kind of funny.
That makes sense, because Japanese players are just feel different. They're better. Like I also joked on myself by tweeting this one time. I was just like, I put the McDonald's flipping burger gift saying, "This is me when Japanese players enter the GC. Like I can only win when they're not there."
I remember that tweet. That tweet was so good. That tweet was so good. You just keep winning them when the Japanese players get banned, dude. It's awesome.
Or yeah, when Japanese players are playing, I'm just flipping burgers.
So good. Okay, so I guess we've really been just bouncing around. Let's go back to the VictoryRoad tweet. That one might be able to give me some ideas of things that we didn't talk about yet. So we talked about locals, we talked about the majors. Global challenges are based on rating zones, yes, and then we got the events. I think that's what we're left to. Oh wait, the world's invites. We talked about the world's invites. So let's talk about the event.
Hold up, I got one hot take about the GCs now.
Yeah,
which is that now that they've spread it out, I'm looking at it. The Middle Eastern and South Africa region all of a sudden are going to be way more competitive now that the top few players are going to get a whole lot of points from these GCs that can actually separate themselves from like the people who do well at the maybe 1 or 2 events that they get. And even Oceania, I mean, we saw it this year. A couple players from Oceania do really, really well in the GCs consistently. But yeah, I think that it's going to have a lot bigger part of the Latin America, Oceania, and South Africa, Middle East regions, because they have fewer players, and now all of a sudden, and they have fewer events, so these GCs are going to count way more for them than they did this year.
I didn't think about it before, but Oceania having separated rating zone for GC will not make me surprised if Joji gets like 8th first place in the GC in terms of championship points. I would expect this to happen, to be honest.
Dude, he was doing it before they even separated it. It's crazy. Now it's just like, but like you said, it's still a nerf. It is still very much a nerf to Joji, because not only he won't be that separated from the next best Oceania player. Instead of the next best Oceania player getting like top 32 or something like that, they're now getting rewarded second, only 10 points less than Joji. If again the point table's the same, whatever, we'll see how it actually goes. But all right, let's talk about the. Go ahead, Chris.
Just say the good thing for Joji is that he's not gonna have to worry about CP, right?
Right. I mean, he's
probably be first next season, anyways.
Yeah, he's pretty good. He's pretty consistent. I don't think he's the type of person to be sweating a world's invite.
Yeah.
So, let's talk about the locations that they announced. So they put out this page that has them all in order, as well as like a hype video, I think. Yeah, hype here. And what's funny is they only announced a couple of them for like the U.S., but and I guess some other regions as well. But they have these like highlighted lights you'll see in it, and I did not want the audio. So the people paused it on some of these and lined it up with some like leaks or previous season events that we'd expect to be. And so I know Adi, you ended up making one for the NA region here. Let's start with that. And you ended up putting the text on top, of course. Just to be clear, the text was not there in the video.
The text was not there. These are my best guesses. Do not yell
Yes.
at me if Vancouver Regional turns out to be Seattle Regional or.
Oh, did Adi cut out for you guys?
Yeah.
For me as well. All right. Well, Adi, when you're back, we'll continue to hear your topic of conversation. Anyways, I do agree though. I'm like looking at this one and I'm like, it really could be Seattle. Like, I'm not really sure. But there's what we do know for sure is the Adi, you're back. Hello. Sorry. We do know for sure is the first three. We got our fall regionals here in the U.S. Milwaukee, Pittsburgh, and Las Vegas all on screen here. These three. Also, is Adi back? Because now he's frozen again. All right, Adi, you maybe reset the call or something. We'll talk to you when you're ready. So with that said, though, but I think I know the answer for this one for you. So, Chris, are you thinking about going to any of these three?
I mean, I live right next to Philly, so I may as well go to Pittsburgh.
You know. Okay. Yeah, that one's gonna be starting off the season. What about you, Fede? Are you thinking about coming over here and farming us or no?
I don't not yet. Like not for the first
Not yet.
regional. Like Marco goes to Toronto every year, and I should have gone with him in 2023, but I had some inconvenience which led me to cancel the flight. So if Toronto is gonna be there, I might go to Toronto.
Right.
Other than this, I would have liked like something I was considering for next season was to play a regional both in North America and Latin America, and just to make the experience of going there not only for internets.
Right.
I think I'm gonna do something in North America. I don't know about Latin America. Like maybe LAC is gonna be enough.
So
Right,
Fede,
right.
given the list of locations that I posted on Twitter, which one would you be most likely to show up to?
Yeah, Toronto. As I said, it's
Toronto
gonna be
for
Toronto.
sure.
100%.
Okay,
Also
that's a good
because
one.
like going to Toronto from Europe is very cheap compared to the rest of North America. Like flights to Toronto are like around $400, which is way less in euros. While, for example, going into NAC, I spend more than 700 euros, which is I think almost close to $900 for what I spent to
Yeah.
go to NAC. And it's always like that. Going into Worlds is gonna have a similar price. Toronto is just half of any other North American flight from Europe. So
Dang.
that's
nice.
also one of the good reasons to go there.
I think Toronto is also my favorite city on this list to visit. So definitely, I think that's the good one to do if you're coming to North America once.
I think the reason Adi's asking is because he needs a smart money pick for Toronto in advance. He did. I don't know if we ended up mentioning it earlier on the show or not, but Adi did impact smart money Fede. So that's part. It's just so funny to me. We also forgot to talk about our Japan ones because Tommy did pick the winner. So shout out to Tommy for that. I think everybody else. I don't actually think Mao, Hirofumi, or Elizabeth ended up having very impressive runs. So not great calls on the rest of us, but shout outs to Tommy for sniping that one. Well done. Okay, so yeah, this I do think that a lot of this lines up with like cities that we've been to before or would expect to be. I don't think they're gonna probably throw any curveballs at us. And so like I could definitely see Orlando being like, what's the other one? Is it Daytona? Or the I don't know. There's one that's like similar. Daytona, okay. And then other people are saying like they don't know if it's for sure it's LA or not. It could be something else, but regardless, and then like Vancouver, Seattle, but yeah. So Fede, we were talking to you a bit about this before we started, but let's bring us back to where we were. I guess now. That people were doing the same thing for Europe, and I think most of them were confirmed. You guys are have some of your like spring ones announced as well, right? On the list here.
Yeah, like we already got confirmed for Lille and Gdansk. The first one, we are actually having the first regional in the season. Like we are having, we're just
Oh,
repeating
yes.
every single location from last year, besides Frankfurt, which is gonna be the first regional of the season. And I think I'm definitely gonna go here because even if we already had both UIC and regionals in Europe in that city, I've never been there.
Ooh, fun.
So I think I'm gonna take it to just like every time you always go to the same places. So for once that I can go into a new place, I'm probably gonna take it. And then of course, like we got regionals back to back in October because we got Lille last week of October and
Yes.
Gdansk first week of November. So just back to back regionals. I have to defend the Gdansk title, so I'm definitely gonna be here. I don't know about Lille, but maybe playing regionals back to back is gonna be a fun experience. So I guess I'm gonna do that. I'm just addicted to this game, so I'm most likely gonna play every regional in Europe. I would say.
Why not? Why not? Back to back is we were talking about this. We haven't seen that in a long time. Audie, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say the back to back weekend is really really hard. I did it a couple years ago, and oh my god, it stressed me out so much. But when I did it, it was back to back weekends in different formats between Charlotte and Fort Wayne regionals in 2023. Do we know when Regulation I ends? This is slightly off topic, but I see that it's also a different month. So for all we know, Leland Danks might be different formats too.
We know that Regulation I runs until the end of August, I believe, and so September very well could be a new format. I don't know. My bet is that like they could just keep going with it. Like, but who knows? They really could just throw something new at us, and that would be even more reason to want to go to some of these September events. Let me get back to all regions, but you know we've got Pittsburgh in September, and Monterey is also the same weekend as Frankfurt. I forgot to mention that's also the same weekend, the first weekend of the year of the you know the tournament year, the World's qualification year will have two regionals. That's kind of crazy.
I really wish we know the format because at least for me, I'm looking at Monterey as like a very reasonable regional to do if it's the same format as Worlds and I can use my Worlds team again. And then go to Pittsburgh, which is right close to me in the DC area. And so it'd be nice to just use my Worlds team for 3 straight events. But if it's a brand new format, then having a week more to build in it after, especially after going all out for Worlds, having a week more to build in a brand new format would be really, really nice. And so, yeah, I'm very curious. Wait, so you said it's end of September or it's end of August? I'm realizing now. You said it's end of August, right?
Yeah. The format ends at the end of August, and go ahead.
So I'd really like to know if Reg I was going to continue or if it's a brand new format, just so you can plan out these regionals more effectively.
Bruno has a good shout and
bring back something else. Like I would expect them to. They already brought back Reg G one, so why not to bring back another format? Like I would expect them to bring back Reg H or something like that.
Yes, I can see that for sure. If they're not doing something brand new, I mean, there's still like a couple of brand new ideas yet. I don't know if they're willing to do them. We talked about like No Terra. I don't know what some of the other more
mythicals. Give us mythicals.
No, okay, I don't know about that one. I don't know about the.
I think
we got too long before champions.
Stuff like that. They don't have to change the rules that much. We could even just see Reg I, and then they introduce all the like ban restricteds. Like we get Xerneas and Nivelto back, like stuff like that. You know, that'd be cool.
Yeah,
if they do that.
A lot of it will factor into like how Legends ZA or whatever factors in, if at all. If Champions comes out earlier than expected, there's a lot of things to look out for with regards to that. Also, Bruno, good shout in the chat mentioning that, you know, we could know the new format on July 31st because they often announce it like a month before it becomes legal. So, you know, if not July 31st, you know, like early August, we might even know what format we would be playing in September. So, yeah. But Yeah, I'm also bringing it back to the locations. The last one, it looks like Paul Ruiz ended up putting together a prospective list for Latin America as well. So yeah, a lot of it, it's kind of it is kind of silly that they put together the video with these like lights hinting at the locations, but this page that lists all the events, like the actual events, isn't just going to tell us literally what they are. Like if you go to North America, we have exactly NAIC Worlds, I guess, and then the 3 regionals that they've confirmed so far. But like they know like there's no way that they don't know by now, and like it's just it's silly. I mean, well, I guess we'll just have to wait.
I think one other thing I was seeing is I feel like there are a lot more regional level events rather than like special events. So that's kind of cool to see.
I
More
can see
money
that here.
at their
Yeah,
investment.
yeah, that's fair. Um, yeah. I think that a lot of that comes down to like where they decide to host it based off of like local gambling laws and stuff
Well,
like that.
one
Like,
thing one thing we saw is Utrecht actually. If you scroll the way down, it went from being
okay.
a special to regional. So I don't know
Some,
what happened there,
yeah,
but
some people were saying that this was just a mistake, so it's not official yet.
gotcha.
I
I would
hope it's
believe
gonna
it.
be a regional, to be honest, but it might be fake.
Yes.
Gotcha.
It's
I remember.
interesting that Victory Road listed it as a special event on their tweet, and they do so much of the organization for this, they might know better. So
True.
who knows?
It was funny when we had MDV on after winning Utrecht, and Adi was like, "Oh, you just won like 6K. You must be feeling good or something like that." And it was like, "No, he won 350 championship points or whatever." And
So
maybe
if
some
Utrecht
pox.
is a special, it looks like they are doing the like same thing as last year in Europe. We had all the regional until Stockholm, and then just had the last 3 events in a row, all being special events. And I honestly don't
Mm-hmm.
like this. Like, in my opinion, special events should be the first ones because if you may put these events as the last ones, you're just gonna lower so much the level of them because the most great players don't have really good reasons to go here unless they
Yeah.
just live really close to there. If you put them as the first events, there are good reasons for any level of player to go here. So I think like special events should be the first ones and not the last ones. But I'm still gonna take this. Yeah. I kind of like the Italian special event to always be the tournament that closes the European season. But at the same time, I would like to this event to just be more competitive and just see like the average European top player doesn't go to the special events. Like you can see MDB winning Utrecht because Germany is just really close to Netherlands, and Germany
Mm-hmm.
was like the second or even the first nation with the most players at Utrecht. But yeah, you didn't see MDB in Bologna or in Seville, for example. Like Seville was the one with where there was literally only Spanish people, but also in Bologna there was not too much other non-Italian top players going there. Like Torviv and Raxen go here every year, and
Mm-hmm.
also the French players are getting here. But outside of them, there is not a very high amount of people going here.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. I think that it probably. I don't know why the schedule lines up that way. I can't imagine it's actually intentional. It's probably just a really like weird poor planning kind of thing that it just ends up lining up really badly because yeah, like you said, the top players are not going to be nearly as motivated to go to these late season events. Um, but no, it definitely has a real effect, and I think that is kind of sad to see. All right, really quick question for Adi and Chris here. Obviously, we talked about some of the first ones, but yeah, in terms of like roughly these, even if like I imagine that I mean maybe it's a difference maker if it's Orlando or Daytona for some people, but I'm just curious of these ones, which one do you guys think that you'll probably be at? Let's start
Chris, you
with
want to
you,
go?
Adi. Okay,
I
Chris.
guess I'll
Chris,
go
go.
first.
Chris.
A lot of this stuff depends on like timing of the year. I tend not to
That's
go to a
true.
lot in May because I have exams and stuff. But I mean,
Yeah.
I'll definitely be at Pittsburgh because it's like
Yep.
it's a driving distance for me. I'll probably go to
Mhm.
Toronto too. Um,
Mhm.
and then the rest are kind of like, we'll see. Also probably
Yes.
depends on how I do at these events. Like if I'm sweating for my Worlds event, I might go to a lot more impromptu.
Right. Adi, what about you?
Mhm. I think so. Pittsburgh definitely going. It's just a drive for me. I am thinking about Monterey, just because I have been meaning to go to a Mexican event for a long time since I went to my last one in 2019. They're always so much fun. Carson had a great time there when he got second place, and so I definitely want to go back there. I would really like to go to Merida in Mexico because that is in the Yucatan Peninsula, right near Cancun. It's supposed to be beautiful. I planned out a trip and it just didn't work out last year. So that's the one I really want to go to out of all the Mexican events. In the United States, I'm probably going to Pittsburgh. I'm probably going to Indianapolis because my family lives in Indiana, and that's just a nice excuse to go visit. San Antonio because I lived in Austin, and so it'd be nice to go back there. So say like San Antonio and Orlando are the other two that I'm really looking at. So I think my season is going to be those four regionals, one the NAIC, and ideally 1 to 2 of the Mexican events.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. For me, I mean, it's kind of funny because like you're also kind of sticking to your coast for the most part, except for like San Antonio. You're doing some homecoming trips, I guess. And yeah, for me, sad that they took away Portland. It seems like Portland's gone. Obviously, I didn't do as well Portland the second time. I did well 2 years ago, but not this most recent one. It's still very convenient for me, so I would love to have it back. A drive. I love to have ones that are in driving distance, and whether this is Vancouver or my now hometown Seattle. That's going to be good for me, of course. I guess I'm going to Vegas. I've never been to Vegas, and I'm not a gambling guy, but I will probably go to that one because I've already looked at the flights and they're very cheap. And probably the Cali one as well because it's on my coast. Milwaukee is a bit of a homecoming trip as well for me. So yeah, that's probably what I'm looking at. I don't know. Might sprinkle one other one in there if, like, for example, Pittsburgh is the first in a cool new format. I could be convinced, but right now I'm not really planning on Pitt. So, um, yeah. That said, is there anything else that we haven't covered on the new circuit updates? It feels like there was um, so much to cover. Sorry, somebody in the chat said they might announce more regionals, right? They do sometimes. They did, like, yeah, they have before. I don't imagine we're gonna get any like super sneaky ones. Like, a lot of these are unannounced already. I think that we're probably gonna end up with just the ones that are displayed with the light beacons here, if you will. But yeah, is there anything else that we didn't cover on the adjustments? Obviously, there's been some changes to like Go and TCG. It seems like, but I mean, that means nothing to me. I'm sorry. They got rid of I mean, maybe it'll impact how fast our tournaments are run if they get rid of like this +3 turns thing for TCG. I don't really know what that's going to do for our tournament though.
Well, if you watch we were sitting there waiting for Masters finals and watching the TCG
That's
finals
true.
in NAIC, and
Oh,
you see the timer tick down, and you're like, oh, 75 minutes is finally over. Oh, the game's not over yet. We gotta wait another 20 minutes while they do the +3 turns. It did feel kind of ridiculous. So
it did. It's so...
I am kind of glad they're getting rid of it.
Maybe that's why they did it, dude. They were like, this was horrible. We're streaming juniors at like, after 6 p.m.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was really funny because like the Masters, Juniors, and Seniors video game finals combined last like one of the TGC ones.
I know. It's so bad. Who's got the
And
attention
our
span for
game
that?
is far more interesting.
What's up, Chris? Say that
Yeah.
again.
Our game is far more interesting and more
Well,
entertaining than TCG.
that's the thing is we bring in the viewers. Like, I don't want to say like one game is directly better than the other. They have obviously us beaten on attendance numbers by a lot, but nobody wants to watch it. It's just like everyone wants to play it. Nobody wants to watch it.
I remind someone joking about like once the TGC finals ends, 1,000 people are leaving the venue and 2,000 people are joining the stream. It's just like
Yeah.
you see more VGC has way more views online,
Yes.
and TGC has just more people at the venue.
It was so, dude. Actually, let's talk on that really quick before we wrap up the show. Is just like Were you just getting bored as hell waiting for your match so long, Fede?
Yeah, we were like at the beginning of the day, we thought we could have just played with a normal schedule after you without losing our flight. So we would have missed the flight if they didn't help us with that.
Yes.
So at least that was great to play first, but yeah, it
Really
was
nice.
looking really long. Like we were having lunch um around, I would say, 5 hours before the finals.
Mm-hmm.
Um and we were trying to watch the streams to see who was starting playing, and I was like, how is it going in the TGC? And the answer was like they didn't start juniors yet. So um, that was so bad. But also I don't know anything um, about the other games, like actually even about TGC. Like I don't know anything about Go, Unite, or TGC, but I heard that they just it's not only because of TGC, but they also just didn't expect Go and Unite to last that much this time. Like it
Yeah.
lasts way more than how much it used to be, I guess.
Yes. Yeah.
Mhm. I was saying Pokemon Go was the culprit because apparently they had winners finals, losers finals, grand finals, bracket reset, which is far too much Pokemon Go to have in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
I
I don't
think
know.
those
Maybe they'll
should
change
be
that this
grand
season
finals.
after seeing what happened.
What'd
I
you
don't know
say,
why they do so
Chris?
many matches. I think they should
Yeah.
just have because I feel like when I'm watching day two, I feel like Go ends about the same time or like even before VGC does, so they probably had the room to play those extra matches, right? So I don't know.
Wait. Why was nobody talking about this? Guys, the Ace Trainer Rewards program is returning.
Oh shit!
Yo,
We're gonna
if you
get
get
our card for 200 championship points. Yeah.
there we go. There you have it. Wow. Okay. Are they giving Fede 10 cards? Actually, how many points did you end up with? Fede, how many championship points did you end up with?
Oh, this season, you mean?
Yeah, yeah.
2K 357.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So 11 cards, or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, 11. Marco would have got 12 because he had like 240, 70, something like that.
Oh my god. Okay, cool. Well, obviously we've already gone a little bit long here, so we will probably continue to get more news in the coming weeks about some of these things. There are still some questions about like what are the GC points going to be paying out, but it is nice to have some of this stuff ahead of time because I was worried that we weren't getting any of this until the World Championships, and that was going to be just not nearly enough time to be planning on traveling to stuff like Pittsburgh or Frankfurt. So really nice to have
Although
this.
I will never understand why they don't release this at NAIC. I feel like it would be so much more hype to announce it at NAIC. Is the perfect thing to do at NAIC.
It's a week
Uh,
later. Like, surely it was.
yeah,
They could have just got the ball rolling a little faster. Like just get it done. Ship it.
right. Yeah.
You know
Uh,
what announcement I'm really waiting for?
mm-hmm.
I'm really waiting for them to let us know when we can use the Switch 2 at events, right?
That too. That
The gameplay's
too.
so good. I'm
Yeah.
sure there's like a lot of technological things they have to work through. Because I heard the docks are like incompatible with the Switch 2s or something.
So they
Um.
have I saw at Japan NAS they were using the old docks. I think like the
Yeah.
smaller docks that you saw at the bottom tables of this tournament. I know
Mhm.
because I was at the bottom tables of NAIC. They had the shitty docks, but those seem to be working with the Switch too, as compared to the newer ones, which are missized.
Huh.
Oh, so there's some new
Okay.
docks that or small docks that work for Switch too. That's cool. Okay. Yeah, I do think there's hope. Um.
Yep.
Okay, well, yeah, that's gonna be it for this one. I'll look and see who we're gonna throw the raid to because we are doing things at a bit of a different
Yo,
time.
it's Jody. Jody's playing VGC. Everyone,
That's
everyone, we're
unbelievable.
gonna raid Jody. Tell him that you missed the old Jody. Okay, just make
The
him really
old
guilty
Jody, the
about abandoning his
VGC
own
Jody,
pocket.
true. Again, thank you to Chris and Fede for being on, and congrats again on both of your finishes.
Of
Um,
course. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
all right. Well, we'll catch you guys next week for more, and goodbye. I think Adi already sent it, so never mind. Did you not hit go already?
I did send it. I hit it a little too early.
It's-
I got
all right, that's
I got
fine.
trigger happy.